From the great halls of their house, there are assembled three who hope to one day be the world's greatest driving heroes. Created from the cosmic legends of the universe comes our team captain, the Vision, Bill Fisher. Their soon-to-be Wonder Woman, Vicky Fisher, and our Batman, the master of tools, gadgets, and all things mechanical, our mild-mannered soon-to-be millionaire, Alan Danvers. Their mission? To fight injustice, share what is right and wrong, to get you out of your house and come out racing with us and serve all mankind. They are the Garage Heroes in Training Team.
Welcome to the Garage Heroes in Training Podcast. I'm going to try to herd some cats tonight. My name is Bill. Who else is hosting?
I'm Vicky.
All right, cats, sound off.
This is Alex.
Oh, God. It's
Brian.
already up.
And David.
Okay. Well, we have, between all of us, I think we have one adult. We're going to see how this goes. I'm leaving that up to our listeners to figure out who that might be.
6 collective brain cells.
Maybe. Depends. It's getting later in the day. So anyway. All right. Very well. Gentlemen and lady, we were at CMP last week.
Indeed, we were.
Who had fun?
Woohoo!
I did.
You know, Matt, if your hand is up, we can't see it.
Okay. We try not to look. Anyway, so most important question regarding our race weekend: who snored the loudest?
You.
Me? Did I win?
Yep.
Yes.
You.
Is he a loud snore?
Yep.
Oh!
Damn.
Wow.
4 a.m. on the kitchen table.
All I know is I didn't ever wake up, so I didn't hear any of you gay people. And then I walk out this one morning.
Easy there, princess. You're not much better, I hate to tell you.
Anyway. All right. So for those who have not heard the last episode where we did a quick review that came out last Thursday, this one comes out on Wednesday. Who wants to give the high level review of our racing weekend? Anyone?
Bang, car go up, car stay there, car comes down, car goes back up.
Yeah, the wheels don't go round and round very often.
Well, the rails go round and round. They just make sudden drive shaft floppy noises, and then later on you hear every time you brake.
At least they weren't oblong, though, and they were rounds.
The barrel of the wheel was no longer round when I was done with it.
No, you did finish that. All right, so let's go with practice. We practiced on Friday. We got there. We got everything set up somewhat. David, it's your car. You potentially are the adult in this room, which makes the room very, very sad. It's a sad room.
Yeah, I may be your most senior member. So
well, I don't know. We're pretty close. We're pretty close.
Okay. True.
So how did practice go? Sorry, it's your first foray with this new vehicle to you.
It is. And that said, for the entire weekend, the expectations weren't super high, right? So we came into this, we knew this was a shakedown, right? So get the car out there, make some laps, get everyone into it, see what happens, start to slowly push it, here and there, see what broke, fix it, and do it again. Practice Friday, yeah, that was one of those things where, and I did listen to the earlier episode of the cast. So it's a brand new team, right? We're assembling people from 7 different directions, right? Or however many different states, and all with different ideas of, I did this, you did this, I thought you did it, whatever. That was a cluster. So we weren't quite set up for practice, but we managed to sweet talk our way into practicing. It was an open practice with some HPTE and about 7 other things combined in, I think. So those 20-minute sessions really weren't 20-minute sessions. The practice, I don't know if we really got the value out of the practice that we certainly wanted to. I would certainly. I would say without reservation that the value was not quite there. However, I believe all four of us did get behind the wheel and drive the car at a very low minimum.
We did. Any thoughts on how the car drove? I didn't want to get into this when I was the only one there. So any thoughts on how the car behaved? Alex, you went out first, so let's start with you. Oh, God, why did I do this to myself? Okay.
No. So the initial few laps I did at the beginning, the car felt planted. It didn't feel weak. It did not feel like like it's lost rigidity or anything. It felt planted. It felt almost maybe a little too aggressively dialed in for the turn side, but we'll go into that later when we discuss more of what happened. The car felt really healthy to me. When I got out of the car from practice, I actually had an air of confidence over the longevity the car should have maintained. And I underlined should because it should have.
I knew I smelled something. I didn't think it was an air of confidence, but that's fine.
But I will say at the end of practice, I think overwhelmingly between the four of us, I think all four of us were confident in the car's. So that's where I'm at. Ryan, what about you?
I'll put it best this way. So I was talking with one of my former Miata teammates about it, and I said that car is everything our Miata is not. It is very well balanced. It's very easy to drive. It has a crap load of power, and it is very expensive to run.
Do you know what? I drive a Miata regularly, and that's how I feel when I hop into the BMW that Bill drives.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Our Miata, it drives you as the driver to the ragged edge to send it into the corner at the speeds it wants. That BMW is like driving a Cadillac down the highway on Sunday.
Yeah.
Well, David,
and this was one of the things that, I purposefully, purchased a car that had, let's say, it's been dialed in already, right? Not for endurance racing purposes, but for track performance, right? And we knew that, step by step, and Alex has been doing a ton of work to make this, available for longer periods of time, right? And we'll continue to do that to make the car perform, at 7, 5, 7, and 8 hour stints at a time. But that said, something that was exceptionally dialed in, you can walk up to some very fast cornering speeds in this easily. It's exceptionally easy to drive. Again, you don't need to push it to the ragged edge. This is one where you can tiptoe up to it as far as you want to, and it's going to have, I think, a pretty good future.
All right. So the correct answer is no. I'm just kidding.
Can I add something?
Yeah, sure.
So I think resoundingly.
This is Alex. Oh no.
Yeah, believe it or not. If I were to
other Alex.
If I was to use the word, and Bill, from you, Ryan, and David, from your feedback in the car, if I was to use the word balanced, what would the three of you say to that?
Definitely.
To all four corners.
No.
Yeah.
No.
So we had this car, not this particular car, but we had a car, E36, similar changes, different car. The artist formerly known as a Deadpool car. The car didn't feel the same. And I'm not saying better or worse. There was something about the car that didn't quite feel right. Now, the problem was I'd never been to CMP, so I was concentrating more on the track and learning the line during the practice than I was on the car. But something wasn't right. I wasn't sure if it's a brake balance or a car balance, but I felt something different front to back in the car, and I didn't realize it I'm not mature enough in my driving to say I feel this. That means this mechanically. I don't know those ways yet, but there was something there.
So thinking more about our failure on Saturday and how I was noticing how the car handles, I think there was a lot of deflection happening in that trailing arm bracket, and we were getting dynamic toe in the corners. And that was contributing a lot to its hopping coming out of the corner when you were trying to roll on the throttle, and the thing it was probably wanting to toe out because the two outer bolt slugs were gone. You were getting some dynamic toe on acceleration, and then you were getting dynamic towing on braking, and it led to its want to push going into the corners, and then that want to kind of hop coming out of it.
See, I only felt the only corner where I felt anything would have been the push. Going into turn one. Everywhere else on that track, the car was smooth as butter. Maybe it's our different driving styles. Maybe it's how we operate the car, if we're delicate with it or not. I don't know. But the only thing that I can go ahead and agree with was into turn one, there was a push, and I didn't understand why on that left-hand turn, and that left-hand turn alone was the only left-hand turn that had push.
So again, I'm going to compare this to the Deadpool car, which I drove for, the better part of a year, maybe more. It didn't feel like it was gripping quite as well in the rear as I would have expected. And on the plus side, this thing pulls like a mother as far as just revving and going through the RPMs. This one definitely has more of that. So that's not the issue, but there was something about the stability of the car varied front to back and somewhat left turn to right turn. And I feel bad that I'm not better and I couldn't describe it better mechanically, and maybe we could have gone and looked for something. So I feel like I kind of failed everybody because I noticed something, but I didn't know what it meant.
Actually, no, you're actually hitting on something, and that was due to the aggressive nature of the alignment that was put on that car. We can go more into that later. That's not imperative at the time. But I think a combination of that with exactly what Ryan was saying, the fact that under load and off load, you have that the dynamic toe working in on that right hand side, and that makes it very jumpy per se. So
a little bit. So, but we did. Well, let's just finish up on practice before we get into the rest of our festivities. A couple of us got to go out for ride-alongs. I know David got to go out, and I think Alex got to go out. I'm not sure if Ryan got to go out.
I did not.
Okay. Did the ride-alongs help you guys? Did you get anything out of it?
I did. As with any track, right, different drivers are going to take different lines, different perspectives, and that's going to obviously adjust based on the car that you're in. The ride that I had, it was, the first and last thing he said was, "Well, shit, it's not my car, so let's pound on it," and we did. But
that was said, in our car, the 14 E36.
No, that was in the race bar car.
Okay.
Bar.
Yeah,
Well,
race bar.
You guys out?
Jeff
Took you guys out for CMP? Okay.
Jeff took David out. I'm not sure if he took Alex out. I think he might have. He both? Okay. So Jeff drove both. Okay.
Yeah. But, that said, learned a few lines around the track, right? That were slightly different than other drivers were taking. I think, Alex, you included, the lines that Jeff took. And again, it depends on the car. It was beneficial, though. So thanks, Jeff.
What was your biggest takeaway?
Go out there and have fun.
Yes. Good man.
Good man. If
Right.
you have fun, you're going to learn.
Yeah. In Jeff's case, right? Brake at one really hard and turn.
It's always a good plan.
Yeah. Everybody drives differently.
You need to talk more.
Mr. Levinson, what about your ride along?
So my ride along, I'm pretty well versed in the track and everything. And literally, I love Jeff. Me and Jeff bonded this trip. The whole ride along, me and him were cracking jokes and just laughing the whole time. I don't think we really took it seriously. And it was just a blast. What? What? Really? Really? Really?
Did you tell him you ride go-karts?
Yeah, actually, when we came in, I did. And he snickered a little bit, but he was okay with it. And I think he found a go-karter that he has a connection with.
Yeah.
Jeff,
I wish he would have came. So Ryan, you and Alex were our starting qualifying with Lucky Dog. There's a qualifying on Saturday morning where they place the cars for class A, B, C, and Super Dog. You and Alex were set to go and establish our team's thrilling peak performance levels. Would you care to describe exactly how? We haven't had Matt on yet. Matt, would you care to describe the general feeling? Because we weren't in the car, but we were watching. Would you care to?
We're watching the timing on our race monitor, and we're watching Alex set the fastest lap time of the day. And
just to review, the goal for this weekend was to do what?
Not break the car.
Not break the car and kind of shake it down a little bit, see how things are and just take it easy. No thoughts about winning or anything.
Hold on. We knew we were going to break something on the car. We just did not think it was going to be as catastrophic.
Yeah, exactly.
Something was going to break. But anyway,
the expectations were to just go out there and take it easy, right? Okay. So Matt, please continue, sir. I'll silence the witness if I have to.
Yes, Alex went out for a blitzkrieg run in that practice.
Well, it's not.
Did you call it a blitz run?
We called it a blitzkrieg.
Yep.
I am German.
It's not like he drove his friend's car in the first few laps of its lifespan in a race faster than a professional, highly acclaimed test driver in a well-dialed in and prepared racing machine that he brought to the thing. But it's not like he did that, right, Matt?
No, he didn't do that at all.
Of course, we don't know who you're talking about at all.
No.
But so anyways, about halfway through qualifying, we wave Alex's flamboyant flag to bring him in, and
Yes.
and pulls up to the pit, and car's steaming a little bit. So we pop the hood, and looks like Old Faithful just shooting off into the sky. And
Alex peaked, and the radiator blow off peaked too.
Yep.
It shouldn't be doing that. So we get the car off and back together to start the race, and that's about as far as we got.
So Ryan, how did you do on your qualifying stint? I just want to make sure we don't miss anything.
Technically, I was perfect. I went 0 for 0.
Oh, that's right. Okay. So then we
I think you got one lap in.
No.
The timer said one lap.
Oh, on the race, yeah, but not on the
on the race.
Two laps on the race.
2 laps on the race.
2 laps on the race. No, none quite finished on the qual.
So we did a little bit of low dollar endurance racing fix to the part. What was the part that we had an issue with that determined that it was going to be Old Faithful? And then how did we fix that? Anyone? Bueller?
We screw up the expansion tank was not fully tightened down, and decided that the orbit in the stratosphere really needed to see it, so it shot out of the expansion tank.
And then the fix was
into the parts bin.
A bolt, a washer, and an AC seal.
Yes, sir.
Obviously, that's bespoke to this application, so that was okay.
Yep, done and done. Fill it up. Let's go.
So speaking of fill it up
with water.
Fill it up with water. With water. Okay,
not the other. No.
Yeah, we didn't do that. Turns out we didn't need to. But anyway, so since Ryan didn't get to do his qualifying laps, we thought it was only fitting that since he was already dressed up and we were just too lazy, we're going to send him out with this fine vehicle that's been prepared and well taken care of and nursed. I believe the word nursed around the track. No, that's not what was done. But anyway,
hello, nurse.
Yes.
Ryan. All things considered, right? I honestly don't think, and Alex, you can back this up, he really wasn't pushing it.
No,
it really wasn't.
I gave it about 75% out there, and I was not hitting any curbs. I was not unsettling not unsettling the car that I normally would if I did go full tilt, but maybe hindsight and replaying it and everything, yeah, maybe I could have backed it down a little bit. But that just would have just delayed the inevitable because it was going to happen.
Yeah.
Allow me to pull up my data. Go ahead. So
No.
The data doesn't
Watch
lie.
how smooth the transition
But
is.
Ryan got to go out.
Ryan did get to go out. Ryan, you almost made it out for qualifying. And then you drove around the track a few times, took the checkered flag, which started everything off green, green, green. How was the track? How was the race? How was your first stint? I mean,
First
all
two
the
laps
details.
were great. Car handled awesome. It was definitely weird being only 40 cars on track. I'm used to just the all-out dogfight in the first couple laps where you're trying to get around people as fast as hell and get to some clean track. It was almost instant. The track cleared up. So that was a definitely weird experience for me. And then I came around the kink and I was watching speed and I said, okay, 110 miles an hour to lift and foot back into it. I did exactly that. And then the car went boom. And my butthole puckered faster than the speed of sound. That was a fun experience.
Boom in a good way?
Sure, we'll call it that,
Like the speed of sound being broken, or was it a different boom?
No, it was not a brown pants. It was not a brown suit moment. That's for sure.
Oh, okay. All right. So I will depict my recollections from the pit. I took a video of you taking the green flag, post it. I'm walking back to the pit. You're in fourth place. Doing great. I thought that was fantastic. With the speed of these CMP electrons going through the internet, post the video, I go back to race monitor, you're in 8th place. Seconds later, you're in 10th place. 2 seconds later, you're in 14th place. I'm like, I know what this means. He's somewhere on the side of the track and sitting still. So walking back, I see you just parked next to the kink, taking pictures of all your friends as they go by, waving kind of like Miss America in a float and just going on. So how did you get back to the lovely paddock that we rented?
Waited for the record to pick me up and bring me on back.
Yes. I believe we were all there waiting for you with bated breath, looking forlorn, concerned even about the car. Who wants to take the lead on the return trip?
The return trip or the repair assessment, you're saying?
Well, the unloading part of the repairs, and we are still to be done.
David, I think you should describe this.
Sure.
Yeah. So, perhaps as new owner of car, right? You sort of oh crap, now what moment of immediately like, shit, how much is this going to cost me? That's the first assessment, right?
All of it.
Yeah. Well, so the nice part, right, is it came back on the truck. Immediately looked at it and yeah, right rear wheel is stuffed up underneath and it is not going to roll. So gently it came back down off the truck underneath a jack, underneath another jack, and kind of crab walked it back under the garage into the garage.
Mm-hmm.
Picked it up, took a wheel off. Yeah. So rear trailing arm decided to separate itself from the frame, which caused a whole series of other bad things. Yeah.
Dave, would you describe that as an unholy union?
It was just a series of catastrophic events happening at 110 miles an hour in that general 2 square foot vicinity of the wheel. It seems like some parts freed themselves of their brackets and shot through the wheel. That was probably either a piece of the knuckle coupler or perhaps even a piece of the brake caliper went through the wheel. So as one person walking by observed to us, hey, you got a flat tire. I think that's your problem. Well, that's one of many problems. The flat tire probably being the last in that sequence of 7 bad events that happened.
Yeah, when I hopped out of the car and I saw the right rear brake caliper on the ground to the right of the car and the tire was still attached, I went, oh crap. It wasn't, I thought it was the drive shaft that had exploded. And I was like, that wasn't the drive shaft that exploded.
Yeah.
Fun stuff went on in that wheel well.
Yeah. As it was coming off the truck, it was just, shedding parts like an animal.
So let's just take a tally on what we're thinking here. 5 of us are there. We're looking at the car. We've waddled it into the garage. What are your immediate thoughts once we took the wheel off and started looking?
Well, that didn't take long. Let's pack up and go home.
Okay. Matt?
This again?
Okay. Ryan?
Give me the friggin' welder.
Crazy person.
Mm-hmm.
There we go. There we go. That's what we like to see.
Welder, yes, it's that was the part that Ryan absolutely worked as magic. The problem was, and Bill, you can start on this this exciting saga of the parts search, because it was going to take a lot of parts to put this back together again, Humpty Dumpty, and those were sourced from many different locations, along with finding a welder.
Yep.
So we should probably detail out the series of events that happened with me in the car. So my leading theory is the previous owner broke the forward-most 551 bushing for the right rear trailing arm bracket. Probably spun it free from the body. So the trailing arm bracket was forced to survive on 2. Did 2 of the remaining 551 slugs. That for some unknown amount of time, since he broke it, to transfer to David, to us running it. Eventually the rear right one of the 3 failed. So it was down to 1. It was pivoting about that singular one that was left. And I think that caused the upper control arm to bang into the caliper repeatedly until the caliper finally had a brittle failure and it decided to liberate itself from the bracket. The caliper decided to make sweet, sweet love to the barrel of the wheel. And then the wheel then took it on a trip around the world being the rear suspension, came around, blew out the ear for the trailing arm bushing in the control arm, which liberated the trailing arm. The trailing arm later snapped in half. The caliper then came around and finished off what was left of the brake hose and the ABS wire, and then continued on to completely bend over the tabs for the upper control arm mount. And for some reason, it missed the strut, which was beyond amazing. And it didn't do that.
So how did you go ahead and figure how to get that cup back into place?
Wait, before we get there.
Don't be so cocky. You made one semi-smart move once in your life.
Okay, hold on. Before we get to the resurrection plan, I think the shorter list is what wasn't broken on the right rear suspension.
What wasn't broken? Like you said, the strut.
Strut and the sway bar end leg.
That's it.
So pretty much we vacated that entire corner.
About 9 important components, 2 were good. That said, right, so both Alex and I were on the crawler underneath that car the night before, looking at looking at all the paint marks to make sure none of the bolts moved. Right? Friday night, we were both under there. We did visually inspect everything. Took a hammer to a few things even. Everything looked, felt, sound solid. So would we have been able to really find that, poking at it 100 days? Probably not. We'll get to the retrospect later on, but
yeah, I mean, that forward slug in the body was completely obstructed by the trailing arm bracket, so you wouldn't have seen the broken welds.
Right.
Vicky, are you going to test or no?
That's a thumbs down.
Can't hear you.
How's that? No.
And
No,
have
we got
two.
the mic. We don't have it through the computer yet.
You're fine. You're both. Can you hear us or no?
That's what we had before. We had audio and no video. No. audio and
Can
no
you
mic.
hear us?
Can one of you hear us?
You do a lot of edits with these, right,
I
Bill?
have a microphone. I don't have any sound through the computer without my headphones, which I have zero idea why.
Can you
We
can
know that.
can you pick one and use it? And if that
Yeah,
means
we're doing this right now.
okay.
I was hoping to transfer over, but I've shut my microphone off.
All right.
Okay, go ahead.
So podcast and training.
You have no
No.
idea.
Remedial
No.
podcast.
This is the first time when I
800 times.
unplug my headphone set, I lose my speakers.
Yeah.
And I can't figure out how to switch them over. And even though I am switching them over, they don't switch over. So
They don't like to be switched.
I do have to apologize. I'm disoriented doing this.
With
So
Alex there, blame him.
Unacceptable.
with the
Happens.
computer not, yeah, but yeah,
I do
yeah,
this to people.
yeah. No, without
Ladies,
having
take
my
note.
headphones and
Ladies, take note.
Control your partner. Anyway, so Ryan, you got to experience the percussive event. You got to lead the team in terms of the resurrection of said vehicle. So you might as well take the lead on the bring back.
Yes, so as Alex so lovingly pointed out, he did one smart thing for probably maybe the third time since I've known him. The one bolt that he managed to do a double paint mark and go beyond the bolt, the trailing arm bracket, and all the way to the body was the one bolt and the one slug that survived on the car. So it allowed me to re-index the entire bracket, figure out where the two remaining slugs had to go, and basically weld them back in. So I laid down bead after bead after bead after bead of something slightly nicer than booger weld to widen the weld area and repair the overly stressed and flex sheet metal to relocate all the sleeves and
All right.
That was step one.
That was step one. And once you got us something that we could screw the trailing arm into, which was not inconsequential, I believe you were you did not need to go to the gym for the rest of the weekend after that amount of effort. David, I think you were the most successful of the parts finders. We had several of them looking. How did we come up with our parts solution? Because being able to put parts on is one thing, but having parts to put on, as we said, we didn't have very many good ones left.
Yeah, so I have to give all credit and all glory to this very kind fellow roaming around the pit area. Also happened to be driving one in one of the race teams. So we'll talk about that later in the cast as well. Mr. William Trapp happens to own a scrapyard very nearby and offered to either A, allow us to go find the rear suspension, ship it down from one of the cars in the yard, or he said, well, hell, why don't I just get the car and bring it here? That'd be easier.
that was ingenious.
So the first one that he found, the rear end on the right side was a little boogered up. So he had to move a couple cars out of the way to get to that beautiful white one that you've seen probably in some of the pictures, and brought it to us. Delivered a car with a perfectly intact, I think it was about a 95 318 with perfectly intact rear suspension. Took the rear wheels off that car. He pulled the car back, leaned it back so that it would basically be a wonderful half lift for us to remove its rear suspension components. And we did.
All
We
right.
dropped it like
All right. So we had most of the parts we needed. What were we missing? Do you remember, Matt?
So we were missing brake calipers at that point and brake pads, where we had pads but no calipers, or calipers and no pads. So that led to, did we send someone or did someone come down with them?
We were graciously, one of the fellow racers decided to bail us out and go drive at like 10:30 at night to go get these parts. That was Kyle.
That super fast Prius.
oh, Jolie.
So we sent someone to go steal the brake calipers off of the Deadpool car mentioned earlier, I believe. And they showed up very, very early in the morning
Yes.
and made it back onto the car.
How did they get back on the car, crazy man?
Not with his help.
Oh, you did it?
You didn't do it, Matt.
I didn't
up
do
till
it.
4. I was up till 4 a.m. doing that.
Yes.
Actually, a correction from the previous podcast. I got absolutely no sleep until 4 a.m. when I walked into the trailer after I texted you.
That was by choice. But anyway.
No list
My
of
arm-
things to do.
So what happened, Mr. Levinson?
So Kyle comes back. Thank you, Kyle. Yes, thank you, Kyle. You actually almost fully saved the weekend. Almost counts in horseshoes, hand grenades, government working out bombs. He shows up and he disappears. I didn't really notice him. And all of a sudden I see 3 or 4 calipers just sitting by the car. I'm like, oh, hey, look at that. So I start looking at them and I see an M-spec one. So I'm like, oh, I'm going to install it. Installed it. Got the new pads on, everything. Looked at the time, realized it's way too late. I need sleep. I've had like 3 hours of sleep up until that point since Thursday. So I sent out a group message on Facebook Messenger to everybody. I think it went to everybody, or maybe it was just to you, Bill. And it was, hey, this is what I did. This is where we're at. This is what needs to get done in the morning. I'm done.
And you were.
And I promptly fell asleep with my mouth around the kitchen table thinking it was an Oreo cookie.
That wasn't the kitchen table, but anyway.
And apparently, not only did you give up, but your phone gave up, right?
Oh, I had no service with my phone. At all. I'd be uploading video to Stupidly Misguided Racing, and legitimately it would take 8 hours video to come up, and they don't come up, and another 8 hours.
So I got Alex's message about, I don't know, 2.5 or 3 hours after I started getting work done, because Kyle was going to leave the part in the car for me, and I wasn't 100% specific, so I thought maybe it's in the Prius. It's not in the Prius. I cleaned up the Prius. It's still not in the Prius. Then I'm like, oh, by the way, the Prius is a rental car. Please don't say I own one. And then I said,
did you get a racing Prius to put by the hangar? Don't
no,
lie to us.
no.
I just want to interject in Bill's story right the moment, where he's going. Bill is a very literal person. So and probably Dave can understand this.
Tell me what you mean exactly.
When you're very, very analytical, when something is delivered, that is, there is no like a lot of gray area. This is what it is.
So I checked the Prius, and then I checked the race car. I'm like, well, Kyle's a race car driver. When he thinks car, he thinks race car. So I go into the race car, not there either. So then I'm like, well, maybe it's somewhere on the floor and whatever. So I'm looking around. I decided to start cleaning up. Nowhere to be found. Alex comes over and says, it's on the car, and I sent you a message with what you're supposed to do. And I'm like, well, I haven't gotten any messages. And then while I'm talking to him a little bit later, bing, guess what comes in?
It was 15 minutes later, I remember hearing the bing off your phone. You were on the passenger side rear quarter panel, and I was walking around the car when it came up. You're like, aha.
This would have been helpful 2.5 hours ago, or 3. But anyway. All right, Sunday review. We asked Miss Vicky.
So, Dave, when all this was happening to your car, what was your first response to it all?
Well, it takes a village, really, and we're a brand new team. I don't even know if we can call ourselves a team yet. It was like a collection of yahoos that were kind of assembled together, right, in one tent. And we're, collectively, all of us are like, we don't give a damn. We're going to do what it takes, right? But when you have, 5 people that are thinking of coming at this at like, all right, we don't give a damn. We're going to do what it takes. And all of us are more like, okay, I'm going to be the guy that jumps in and does something. But then it was sort of like, well, hell, we don't really know each other. Alex and Ryan know each other. They've worked and raced with each other for years, but that was about the extent of it, right? And then it was just sort of a guessing game of like, I don't know what does what role. Obviously I'm the owner of the car, so it's up to me to kind of help decide these things. But this was my first rodeo, right? So I told Bill, I said, well, if it were up to me, I'd delegate the whole damn thing to you. So, right. So you've done this before, right? I can't delegate it to Alex because he's got to focus on a couple other things, a lot of other things. And Ryan is exceptionally gifted at what he does and what he did. So all of us are, just kind of, well, let's just all jump in and figure this out. So everybody did their thing.
Dave,
Everybody,
did you use the word focus and Alex in the same
hell,
sentence?
well, I mistakenly,
There's wishful
perhaps-
thinking.
Perhaps I did. And occasionally, really, he does. Mostly when he's in the car and the phone isn't with him. But
Yeah.
he does focus.
When Alex is outside of the car, he's
Yeah.
like that child. Remember the Vortex toy that some of us had as a kid? He's like a Vortex toy that's missing one of the wings. It'll go their own direction, but afterwards you need to go pick it up because it's 50 feet away from you where you want to be. Like, Alex, you got to be over here, bud.
Over here.
So my I guess the question.
Yeah. So what was the question again?
No, no, but as a brand new team owner and a car owner, to have a car roll in on a flatbed and as they're taking it off, have parts flying all over it. Now, coming from kind of like street driving and seeing that happen, did you think like, oh my God, like we're done and kind of go into a little bit of panic mode, or did you trust your mechanics?
No, well, it's like Saturday morning when it came back and it, it basically ejected its, a good portion, 75% of its suspension was gone. Saturday morning, after one lap Saturday morning, I thought, all right, well, hell, this weekend's shot. But we wanted to bring it here and see what happens. By Sunday morning, it was, the exact opposite, right? It was like, okay, wow. These guys really, this is happening. We're actually going to go out here today and we're all going to drive in the rain and we're going to have some fun doing this. So it got put back together, fully put back together, wheels on, car down. I hopped in the car with Ryan. We rode around the paddock, and it didn't feel right. It didn't sound right. It sounded more like a train car, clackety clack on the tracks. And that entire heroic fix was done in by one caliper bushing.
Mr. Levinson, I believe you want to chime in.
Yes, I actually do. Because on Saturday, while all this was going on, I did not have a chance to ask you, Matt, or Ryan this question. However, on the side, David and me, I asked David a question. So this was relatively right before the BMW got delivered to us. And I turned to the side, talking with Dave. I'm like, Dave, how confident are you we're going to get back on the track tomorrow?
Oh, and yes. Interview.
Yep. And we had two different percentages, but our percentages were really close to each other, weren't they?
But both for how many cars would finish the race and how confident I was to get out there, which I said 94% confident we'd be out there. And I said 33 cars would finish the race. It was 34. Yep.
So now, before the 318 got delivered to us, and this is a question, Bill, to you, Matt to you, and Ryan to you, and it's a free-for-all for whoever wants to answer first. How confident before that 318 got delivered were you guys that we might get back out on track?
Let's put it this way. I was damn confident because after spending 4 hours with my hands above my head, I was like, you bastards are going to pull together parts after what I just did. So get your shit together.
Yep.
Well,
Matt,
Go ahead.
So
Matt,
I knew we'd get the parts. I wasn't sure if we could get all the parts or if all the parts were going to work together. and I was concerned. My bigger concern was not that Ryan didn't get it fixed right or that we couldn't get the parts and put something back together. My bigger concern was if we did a really good job and we got to where we were comfortable, I was more worried about the driver's side doing the same thing because they're about the same age.
It's on the list.
I know.
I had no doubt in my mind that we would make it back out.
Yeah.
I've seen the repairs. I've seen the scrounging ability of all of us, and I knew it would come together.
Now
It's just
listen,
when it came together.
I do have to tell you, as Bill, as your parts runner, Bill will find whatever you need. He is so for our team. He is so good at that. So that's a good asset for your team right now.
States
Yeah, and
are not a limit.
Our
And
team,
the everyone that was walking by, was, they all showed, the other racers and other teams, genuine concern of, hey, if anything we can do to help get you back out there, just let us know. So we do appreciate all the other racers at the event. And the 94% confidence. And I told Kathy, come hell or high water, even if we have to push this thing around one lap, we're going to be out there tomorrow.
I love that attitude. I love that attitude.
One way or another, it's going to go out there, even if Matt will be behind it pushing it.
I knew Kathy. Kathy heard you, but I don't think she believed you, Dave.
She didn't.
I know.
She thought we were nuts.
Well, she knows that. I mean, that's.
Yeah,
Have you seen Alex's pants? I mean, really.
Yeah, have you seen it? Right?
we all wear the same size pants. All right, let's get that right.
Yes, but you wear every color at the same time. That's the problem. Okay.
Yeah, no.
So so what? Sunday. So where'd we leave off? Sunday morning.
Vicky's interrogating us on Sunday morning.
Yeah. Ka-chunk. Or clack. It sounds like a train car.
So first of all, how many hours did you guys put in fixing this car? I mean, what time did you guys eventually get to sleep?
Ryan probably put in a solid 8 to 9 hours on Saturday.
Great.
Ryan, what time did you go to bed?
I think I was done by 11:30.
Okay. That's actually not bad for a race weekend.
We got to the point we didn't have a
stay up anymore, or keep my arms above my shoulders. So,
Matt, you put in a bunch.
Yeah, I stood around. I took pictures. Documented for posterity.
No, documentation and media is very important.
That's a position on our team. Alex, you walked around the paddock a lot. What time did you go to bed?
So I probably met 98% of the paddock. Probably about 88% of them would say that me being born was generally resolved as a bad decision and a big mistake. However, no clue.
Okay, very well.
It's all meshed together.
So my big question is, looking at everything that happened to the car, and after it rolled off, throwing parts everywhere, what do you think actually happened?
We formed as a team.
Well, yeah.
I covered that already. Earlier.
Are we a team?
Is this where the edits come in?
How many teams?
I'm sorry. I was quite disoriented. So
That's okay.
Okay.
Yeah, where were you leading the witness here? Sorry.
That's right.
Okay, go ahead.
We're at the clackety clack train sounds.
Yeah.
Ryan and I are in the car, and I'm like, it just doesn't feel right. And
No,
Alex is like, no, it's because you're in the car, dumbass. I said, no, it's not because I'm in the car with Ryan. Something doesn't sound right.
You being in the car is not the problem.
Yeah.
No. So again, because I was disoriented earlier, and you can edit it how you want, because this is general curiosity for me, being a mechanic in training. The ultimate failure was
Ryan.
the ultimate failure was the rear trailing arm bracket mounts on the body.
okay.
Yeah.
All right. What was it? Was it a lack of reinforcement, do you think? Because from what I understand,
it was a cyclic fatigue thing. The
Yeah.
chassis
Okay.
can only take so much beating, and the wells eventually gave out. And
Okay, because
Thing went-
we have a BMW person that actually builds these things from the ground up, and he said that is a notorious area for failure. So, I guess moving forward, pulling all the suspension and Bill, do you have a checklist of?
We're going to get into the resurrection soon.
So right now we're easy, like a Sunday morning, right?
Okay, I got you.
Everybody remembers that song.
Like Sunday morning.
Okay,
Oh,
I got
God.
you right now.
Oh God,
Go
it
ahead.
sings.
Okay,
Yeah,
Easy,
moving forward.
we know you're easy. Calm down.
easy like Sunday morning. Go ahead.
Evanson, I will mute you.
Demonetized.
hmm
Let's do this.
Okay, go ahead, Bill. Go ahead, take the lead.
Oh my goodness.
Yes.
All right. So Sunday morning, Dave, you and Alan, you and Ryan went out. I think you did one lap and came back in and said, that's not right. We took the tire apart.
Well, not like literally around the track with me
Around
in
the paddock.
car.
Sorry. Yeah. yeah. You weren't on the racetrack. So we took the tire off when you guys came back, and what did we see? What was our issue?
no, I actually went out for one lap after we got Dave out. I
Oh,
went
that's
around
right. You
on
did
the
do one
lap. I
lap.
was like,
We
yeah,
took
I don't
me
like
out.
this.
Right?
Mhm.
It was thumping pretty violently under braking. And I said, this car's not going to hold out like this.
So, what were you feeling in the car?
It felt like the rotors were beyond cooked. You step on the
Oh.
brakes, the
Yeah.
pedal was just trying to drive your knee through your chest.
Oh no. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, and then we're just like, okay, that's it, done. So
Yep.
bringing it back in.
Everybody says that the race is over. The car is parked. I even sent you a text message that said the car was parked. But then
Then
Our
I
fear.
remembered, when I told Kathy, I said, one way or another, come hell or high water, this car's going out on that track.
And
It
there
was
goes
raining.
David.
it was raining.
It
So
was raining.
There was water.
There
You're a
was
brave
water.
man.
It rained. I walked around a little bit and suited up, got in the car, and went back out on the track. Using the brakes sparingly and maybe a lap or two, not at all. But still, I did not baby it. It worked. It did not like braking, so did that as little as possible. Got a little loose here and there, kind of carrying a bit too much speed into a few turns, but
David's like, I got this car. Dang it, it's going to be on this track. And
Yep.
I just don't care. I drove all this way.
yep, it's going out there.
It's going out.
So it went out.
Did.
And as it were, I think I was actually, when I did go out, following William Trapp around the track. So the dude that was nice enough to bring us that parts car, I'm pretty sure if it wasn't him driving, it was one of his other teammates. But we were out there driving around on the track at 50% capacity for our car, still keeping pace.
Yep. And you completed, according to official scoring, you completed 9 laps, which got us to within a mere 160 laps of first place. So right this close, so close.
Yeah.
Yes, Mr. Levinson. Why do I let him talk?
Bill, be nice.
That was nice.
Nice.
David, we discussed something after the race. And,
Yeah, we made one screw up.
At this point, we did a dumb. We did
We
a
did.
big dumb.
What was
Dave-
the dumb?
Yep.
What was the dumb then?
We figured, all right, it's just going to get the car out there. I wanted to put in the laps. I told them, I lied to them, and I said, well, I'm only going to do 2 or 3 laps. I did, obviously, 9. I had considered going out farther, but probably the second to last lap, I did touch the brakes a little bit, and that was just a horrifying sound after hitting 100 in the kink. And I figured, all right, I've got to bring this back in. Any rate, that was sometime in the afternoon, probably around 3 o'clock.
Yep.
Our dumb was just let it sit in the paddock until about 4:55 and bring that damn thing out there again to take the checkered.
Yeah.
That's what we should have done.
Yep.
But then we wouldn't have been packed.
That's true also.
Yeah,
That's another story.
Yeah, but you know what? The longer that car is on track right now, the more potential damage you could do with it, knowing that the car is damaged. So it's
It was fine
you know,
if you didn't touch the brakes.
yeah, but this early in the season,
They just slow you down.
it's really not worth it.
Yeah.
But you know, and
So-
even Alex and I were talking about the car, and that knowing the experience of shaking out your first car for endurance, it's going to take this full race season. Next year is going to be your year. This year is going to be still sorting it out because it's a brand new car. You just don't know.
Took Betty almost a year.
It took Betty almost a year.
It's still taking Betty years.
No, that's
And the only alternative is to tear it down to its very basic and replace everything. So,
Okay.
all right. So results. Saturday, we were able to complete. Let's see what the official scoring says. Official scoring says we completed 2 laps before we exploded the entire rear end, which puts us at 40th position, 13th in class. Sunday, we completed officially 9 laps. I thought it was 10, but 9 laps with an average speed of 55 miles an hour, Dave. Well done. And we completed
average for those 9 laps.
Yeah. And then
Wow.
let's see. We finished in 32nd position because two other teams completed less laps and 7 other teams didn't want to get their car wet. And it is what it is. And we came in 8th. So grand total, guess what, guys? We are in the Southeast Cup. We are in position 31 out of 40 so far. So
not terrible.
we're on the board.
Considering that's 12 laps total.
Yeah.
I'll take it.
Yep. Points per lap, we're probably winning. Think of it that way. Yeah. All right. So what are we thinking? What are we going to do? What are we going to do? What do we have to do now? We've got a car.
Plans are in motion.
Okay, so
What would they be?
Car is delivered to its repair facility.
Internal to our team.
Yes, internal in our team. It is at the Suska garage, where the Grandmaster goes ahead and plays with all the toys. And we go up there and help out and mess up his garage and sometimes help him clean up. And ultimately, I don't know about you guys, but my life revolves around going to work and then being in that garage for the next 30 somewhat days.
Ryan, you put together a nice list, which was fantastic. And I was shocked that I got something from someone that had that kind of detail and actually a plan. I didn't know what to do with myself. I had to go walk around the plant a little
Bill,
bit.
I'm an engineer.
I know.
Yay!
I know.
No, you're a project manager engineer.
Oh, I'm
Even
gonna stand
better.
here.
Even
I'm
better.
not a project manager.
So did you use MS Project?
Today you are. Sorry.
Okay.
Today you are.
Okay. Did you use Microsoft Project or did you use Visio or,
No, I use none of the above.
Okay, very
For
well.
Alex, I think he used. You remember those like color forms, the stick-on things you used to have as a kid?
MS Paint. I use MS Paint.
Crayons
Alex-
and a whiteboard.
Alex used to get dizzy when he did spirograph because he thought he had to go around in the circles. But anyway, so what do we have to do, guys? What's the plan?
We have
All
I think we started a shopping list of all these wonderful reinforcement parts. So
It was ordered 2 days ago.
strip down, build up, build back.
So
Overall.
I have some general questions regarding moving
If we only had a
forward.
podcast, you could ask them on.
Hey, yeah, I'm here. I'm here for it. I'm here for it. So, first of all, of everybody here, I know the least about Matt. So,
I'll be
I know
best that way.
Matt. I'm calling you out
Oh,
here.
do you really want to ask that question?
Yeah.
Well, I'm
might
just
be better off.
curious. Listen,
Good question.
So, so
She's going to say, "What the hell were you doing all weekend?" Is that what she?
yeah, Matt. So no, not at all. So my curiosity is right now is that there was a general, being the first time out, a little confusion on the roles of the team. What did we do that was really, really good? And how better can we move people into the roles that they're meant to be in? So I guess that I know that David is a team leader, and that's solid. And that Alex is mechanic number 2, solid. It seems like Ryan is chief mechanic. So how best can we fit pieces into the rest of the team, do you guys think?
Asked
Also-
about what I've done. So I
Mhm.
showed up probably 6 or 7 years ago to the team, and having known Ryan for way longer than he'd like to admit. Um, Basically, I showed up to my first race as a groupie that had only slept with a third of the team. And from there, I have a pickup truck and just started helping out in any way. So I'm now one of the team's primary transporters for our race car, our camper.
Hmm.
I generally consider myself off-track support. So if someone needs to go out for fuel, go out for food, go out for beer, go out for parts, the head mechanic is second, and the car owners stay tearing things apart while I go out and get what we need.
Perfect.
I help cook. I help clean up afterwards. I help lower the liquor stocks. So
Right.
I'm a jack of all trades. I can do just about anything, but at the end of the day, they're the ones going out in the car. So anything related to the car, you tell me I'll do something, but
Mhm.
you're going to be the ones double checking it.
Right.
So
But
So-
we all fully trust you with everything that you do and help us out. You're more than just what you're giving yourself credit for.
So other than the car, what do you think that you could have done better? What were some of the failures that you saw in your team just this weekend?
see, loud snoring,
Oh, Bill.
That's all of them.
trying to herd the squirrels of the team.
Okay.
Aside from that, I think the team actually reasonably well for people that are just like, hi, here's my brand new car, let's go.
Mhm.
And some of us having known each other for a while, and the rest of us just meeting.
Mhm.
I think we clicked reasonably well. Just
Well,
that-
no. It's not about clicking at all. It's about things that you saw slipping through.
Yeah, so I would say there were, if you talk to Alex and I, the way we run the Miata when it's on and off track was a lot different than what was done this weekend. But at the same time, it was, this is David's car. This is his shindig. Alex and I were kind of here as arrive and drive / mechanics to help out. Talked with David a bit about how we run the Miata, and it's very different. Everyone has a role. Everyone has a part of the car they're responsible for that has to be prepared for the race. Everyone has certain tasks every time the car comes in. Someone checks tire pressure. Someone checks tire temperatures. Another one checks the driver's cockpit. Another one checks oils and fluids. Multiple people hop in and crawl under the car and start doing bulk checks. Check to make sure all the paint marks are aligned. We have checklists that we fill out pre-race. We have notes that we're taking during the race on suspension setups and modifications we're making, and then we do a post-race inspection of everything and figure out what we're doing. I didn't feel it was my position to go do that because it's not my car. David and I have talked, and I think we're going to give that a shot this time around for him and everyone else to see how Alex and I would run a car. So we're going to try that out for Pitt, just so everyone can get the experience of how anal I can be about putting together a race car. And then, it'll be on, David being the owner for future races on how he wants to run it. He can make any changes to what I've shown him and do it how he feels best, because at the end of the day, it's his car.
Yeah, and I think, I know that, and Ryan, we talked about this, that you certainly have a, methodology that you've used and works for you, as well as, checklists that I know you use. And one of the things that Alex and Bill and I looked at were the Garage Heroes and Training checklists, right? So we did, and Alex and I actually used those Friday night to go through, everything in the car, right? So if we did go through those, it was a sort of a meshing of a new car for everyone, myself included, two different teams, right? So it's sort of Alex, Matt, and Ryan, mixed with Bill. So you can only go so far as to, I need a 10 millimeter wrench. Okay, where in the hell is that? Right? So Ryan would be able to go through this and ease through this with all of his tools and all of his equipment, but that wasn't what we had in front of us. So we had to learn a whole new. Everyone was learning a whole new everything, it seemed, and and again, there weren't high expectations, so we kind of let it play out as it did. Alex has his hand up. He's polite. Who are you?
Don't get used to it.
Get used to it, Bill, because every other podcast I'm going to just come over and take over. But I'm being nice. No. I think at some point or another, each and every one of you, I've had a conversation over this and everything. I think as things are playing out, I think roles for each and every one of us are starting to come into effect. I think when it comes to the organization, the logistics, what goes on behind the car, not meaning the car itself or how the car's operated or how it's run, I think this is where I see a lot of Bill's traits. And let's reverse back to how all this shindig got started here. You all decided to listen to stupid over here, each and every one of you. Let's be honest. But I saw traits in each and every one of you where I felt not only could we learn, but each of our weaknesses would be covered by each other's strengths. And I walked away from this weekend. Yeah, there was some defeat in my eyes. There was some heavy-hearted feeling. I got to tell you, that was probably one of the weirdest and longest and most self-centering drive back, hauling everything back up here. However, I think what's coming out of it is something very positive. Ryan and me discussed, let us go ahead and worry about the car. Let us give everyone's functions on the car. And Ryan, the program has always worked. I mean, we've stepped on our wieners a few times and that's happened. David, you're coming into car ownership and we've discussed for a long, long, long time about doing this. And you finally committed to it. And so at this point, I felt the need to surround you by the best people possible that can cover each aspect of what we need. And
Why did you bring us then?
So Bill, because Bill,
we like your t-shirts.
I love your t-shirts. No, and Vicky can attest to it, and me and her have talked multiple times. Bill, you have this innate sense of organization and logistics and planning, and the fact of the matter, when you put your mind to something, you commit and you pull through and you make it happen. And so understand, everybody, I'm a bartender by trade, been it for years. What was my job? My job was to put people with people that will go ahead and flourish and grow with each other. And I saw a huge opportunity at the end of last season with each and every one of you. And David, he pulled the trigger, and I needed to go ahead and get everyone in line with each other. And I think as roles are going to go ahead and push through, and as we move forward, we're going to realize that, Bill, we're going to need you to show David logistics of racing, what needs to go into it, everything there. And just as much as Ryan, this is how we operate the car. This is how it stays out on track. This is how it goes. This is how it's get taken care of. And this is how we'll do a stupid or two, but we'll hopefully finish races, and then hopefully this all mends together. I think this is going to be a hard learning year, but I think this is going to be, at the end of this season, I would like to go ahead and get all of us back on and actually review how this race went versus how the last race we all do together and how we feel as a team. I guess that's the best way to put it.
Very well. You know what I was thinking about? I was thinking there was something we could have had in the car that would have helped us. Perhaps if we would have had in-car video.
I'd settle for just a radio that worked.
Are we talking about an MX2 dash? Are
No.
we?
No.
No. You had to listen to the previous podcast. I got this one already.
That's
I
right.
did.
If we had in-car video that was being live streamed to the paddock, we would have been able to see all 2 laps that Ryan got to do. And we would have heard the noise. We would have felt it. We would have said, he didn't hit a wall. We would have seen it. We could have seen the data, which would have come from our AIM dash that we would have had in there, or any other, like the AIM DL Solo. That would be great.
Are you talking about that beautiful AIM dash that's sitting in the hangar right now? Because that thing.
Yes, that's made to integrate with the Sentinel system, which does all these wonderful things and is used widely in WRL.
So now, hold on. And
Yes.
does a full load of data logging?
It does the data. It keeps the data live. Plus, it keeps Race Monitor or Race Hero data up there, so you can see where you are in your system, and you can see where you are in the race and be able to compare yourself to your other people and know who's 1 car ahead of you and 1 car behind you.
What about oil temperatures or maybe water temperatures? Can we see that on?
That would be integrated as well, sir. We have the ability to do this, and you know what's even better? 10% discount if you use our discount code GHIT. Wonderful thing. Anyway, worth doing. We're trying it. Yep.
So we need to say, Mike G, eat your heart out.
Okay, I think. Anyway, that's the best you can do with Alex on the podcast. So, how did the weekend go? Did we have any surprises besides
No Cordoba.
Cordoba?
There were no large American cars from the late 70s.
Nope.
Well, speaking of cars, what did you guys think? You guys hadn't been to a Lucky Dog or had been to a Lucky Dog. What did you think of the field in general?
This was my first Lucky Dog race. Alex has been encouraging us to try it out and try to find one. This was the closest that we were going to get, so we figured why not. It is as advertised, right? It was the people there were fielding competitive cars. They were very high quality of drivers, even those that were beginners. Well, mince words, they stayed out of the way. They knew that they weren't Randy Phelps juniors. So they kept to the side. It was a clean race. I don't think there was any contact in that entire race. So the quality of drivers was exceptional.
Ryan and Alex, had you been there before with Lucky Dog?
No, I had been there before with Lemons to CMP, but this was my first Lucky Dog race, and yeah, it was definitely interesting. Lemons, it's usually there's a whole bunch of crappy cars and 1 or 2 nice cars, and here I'm at this race going, I'm in a nice car, and everything around me is nice cars. What the hell is this? So it was definitely a different position to be in for once.
Nice one.
Did it feel good to be in a paddock where Alex's pants didn't blend in?
Well, no, Alex's pants just ended up on me at one point. So
True. You didn't notice he was still in there when you put them on, but that's a different story. We'll get to that later. Okay. So looking at it from a race, what can we do better as a team or as a car?
I think first and foremost, we've already addressed how we can improve just by, I think, the bonding between each of us and realizing that we were all out of our element. I think better as a team and for next races, the 7 Ps. Prior proper planning prevents piss poor performance. And basically what I mean by that is
the list that we each had coming into this race, we need to refine it, knock our heads together. As Ryan, myself, and Matt are going through the car and getting it prepped for the next race, David, you need to basically start looking at the bigger picture of what's been going on all around and getting adamant and excited on it and knowing what you're willing to accept to do in this. And Bill, being the mentor to David and showing the organization logistics on the back end of everything, not so necessarily the car side of things. And I think if we go ahead and put that all together for the next race, now we still might have a catastrophic failure. However, I think as a team, the bonding and the success that we would come out of it, it would be tenfold better than this last one.
What about you, Matt? What you got to view the team from a little bit of a distance? Some of the time it was no distance whatsoever. But what do you think we should improve on as a team going forward?
I think as a team, it's great. My only complaints obviously would be the car. Well, obviously Alex. Just the fact that it's the first time with the car, we're not like bringing a car's worth of spares, which would have solved all the issues this weekend. But that's something we grow into. But you're all, I'll say good drivers. So some think they're great, but good drivers. And you're all ready to go, ready to do what it takes. And I'm looking forward to the next race.
All right.
There's more than 12 laps.
So we know what went wrong. Doing better moving forward. What are some of the things that we need on the team to help better organize and help better the processes?
So we had, like one of the issues we had was, Ryan, I think thought Bill that had booked the practice. Bill thought I booked the practice, and I thought Bill booked the practice. It turns out none of us booked the practice. If all of us had driven that car before, we probably could have skipped the practice. That one was not a real value prop there. Again, it's a whole brand new group of people, right? It's a meshing of two previous teams, putting everything together, and we still had to learn each other and how we operate in this, and that'll be an ongoing relationship. As many of us as were there, we probably still could have used more people, just for various things that not all of us are at our strength set.
Ryan, what do you think?
I think we covered it a little bit. We'll definitely try a different program for how we operate at the track in terms of what we have to do to get the car on the track and off the track. We definitely left out valuable data that we could have used. Like I said, we always check tire pressures and we always check temperatures every time the car comes in to see if we want to adjust alignment. We always, check oil levels and coolant levels and
gas.
We weren't. I got sent out on track with a low tank twice. So, I mean, there's that thing, usually we have a gas guy on. My father-in-law is our gas man on our team, and we never have to worry about that. That was something that we kind of took for granted this race.
Mm-hmm.
We forgot about that. That was something I always had with the Miata, but Craig was not there. So that was something that we slipped on. So that's something we'll have to pay more attention to next time around.
Matt, what do you think?
Back to the question. Where do we go back to?
What do you think that we need to do moving forward? What did you see that were some of the slip-ups?
A leash on Alex, perhaps, maybe.
Listen, we all tried to put.
He's got to bring that himself.
Yeah, true.
We tried putting sugar cane on me. It didn't work very well. I've been behaving.
Has anybody tried like a laser pointer or anything like that? Would that work? Chase that around like a
car.
Kittens on acid.
Yeah. Alex, what do you think? What did you see that you could probably have were some of the slip-ups in this time around? Just some of the gaping holes.
So I actually think more of the gaping holes comes towards the fact of more or less sleep on my part for most. I think I actually would have been a little more observant, a little more keyed up, a little more energetic, and probably would have noticed more of the small details that I normally do. That this race I just did not. It was different this race. There was a lot more anxiety on my side, which I normally don't show and I don't fall susceptible to. And it was a huge learning lesson for me. I think moving forward on a personal scale and on a personal level, taking care of myself a little better. So I'm 100% not only for myself, but I'm 100% for David. I'm 100% for Ryan. I'm 100% for Bill, and I'm 100% for Matt. I think that's what I, on a personal scale, need to improve upon. On the team scale, I think, and it's like I said, meshing of the teams and everyone operating where their strengths are and having the teammate step in where our weaknesses are. And it's a game of getting to know each other, getting to know how each other operates, not stepping on toes. And I think focusing more on that would actually improve what we just did this past weekend.
Bill, what did you see?
Well, I mean, we know we can solve problems. We created them, and you know, I think there's some creativity and some dedication, and you know, nobody ever gave up or, you know, took the shortcut. I think that's indicative of the team, and you know, literally, I had only met Alex prior to arriving at the track, so it was you know, 3/5 of us I didn't know in any way. We'd had a Zoom call and some texts, and since they knew Alex, I had very low expectations, and they were exceeded. So you know, it's just something. I think I think we could, as we do this more, we'll learn more of what the skills are of each other. Like, I didn't know what Matt was good at or what Matt wasn't good at. I had no idea what David was good at or what he wasn't good at, and how much experience he'd had. I knew Ryan was a really good mechanic and could weld. That was the brief description I was given. So luckily we broke stuff and had a welder that he could use. So mission accomplished. Oh, and can cook. So, which he did really, really well. So much appreciated on that. But I think as we do this, we'll start to divide up and conquer, much like we've done with the traditional Garage Heroes and training team. And, you know, we'll get there. It's just, you know, first time out, and it wasn't exactly the smoothest of weekends mechanically. So, you know.
Well, it was, you know, your first trip out was never supposed to and was never expected to be perfect. So
we accomplished that then.
Yes, Alex.
Okay, so going on to something, the meatballs and sausage. I know Jen brought this up, and Vicky, they were freaking phenomenal. However, I'm throwing this challenge out here. Your meatballs and sausage were amazing. Ryan, I wanted to bring the Cubano into the mix because
I know you were going to say that one.
You are going to, because that is the most amazing thing ever. So I think if everything runs into order and whatnot, and we all show up at New Jersey.
So hang on. So basically, you're saying that Vicky has to come to the pit race so she can experience a Suska Cubano.
Absolutely.
Yep.
That depends which pit race we're talking about.
That's what all people smell.
All right.
We're doing two, maybe. Doubtful.
All right.
We'll be there for the Lemons race. Driving what? We don't know.
So back to what do we need?
A Cubano and a meatball.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right.
Having a meat off.
Is there anything that we need on the team that needed to be added to better make the flow happen?
We had a lot of spares in the hangar that we didn't bring.
Okay.
So the a rattle can BMW would be a perfect addition. I'm pretty sure we can get a powertrain out of there and get it to its right spot. Just saying.
Well, I mean, these are things that are available. We just need to
Well,
do
listen. Granted,
Yeah.
there's things that you can borrow from the team, and there's things, I mean, from other people in the paddock, like welders and stuff like that. But and you can't bring everything. But
them. Yes, you can.
no, you can't. No,
Your
no, you
trailer.
can't, Bill.
Yes, you
No,
can.
you can't.
Wait a minute. Hold on.
Well,
All right.
Before we're hold on.
Matt,
Ryan,
Right.
show her. Send her a text with the picture that you showed me of your parts for the Miata.
Oh, okay. Yep, I
We'll
can
do
do
that.
that.
We'll do that offline.
Yeah. Yep.
But-
Yep.
All right. So
You talked to me about this.
Exactly.
okay.
I know where
so,
this is going.
So does he have a setup that will help you guys?
Yes.
That will fit into our car trailer?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Well,
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Not,
Okay.
Not for this car, but
I'd have to build a new one for this car, but yeah.
Okay.
Oh,
All right. So that's okay. So that's a win.
BMW.
That's a
Built
win.
rolling cart
moving
that
forward.
holds an entire Miata without the body.
There you go. Okay. So that needs to make happen, which is awesome.
that won't happen by the end of the month.
Okay.
No,
No,
not
but,
happening
I
by
mean-
the end of the month.
well,
we could get the parts though.
We can definitely talk about this because I could spend a few days in Pennsylvania, and if this rattle can M3 is taken care of, we can get all the parts.
The only thing that's spoken for the rattle can is the engine and the transmission.
Yep.
All the other parts
Okay.
are up for grabs.
So,
on.
okay, moving forward, we do have a solid for Alex and Ryan. Matt, how are you with tech? Just in general. Or are you media guy?
He picks
This
things
point.
up and puts them down.
Okay. So,
I can turn a wrench.
no, I meant like I'm sorry, not tech. I guess electronics.
She's talking video, electronics, telemetry,
media,
blah blah blah.
media, stuff like that. How are you with that?
I started taking over the radio for our car when
Okay.
our last radio guy left. So I know just enough to get all the radios on the same channel.
Okay. How about getting media inside the cars?
I can help point the cameras, and I think Alex is starting to work on that. I've looked in a little bit getting a camera myself to collect the footage for Alex to deal with.
Okay. Well, you know what? Honestly, it's just getting GoPros and turning them on in the cars. If that's what it is.
Turning them on's the hard part.
That's right.
Numbers are
So-
hard.
No, if you're using the Sentinel system, it automatically turns on when your car is moving. Just thought I'd bring that back up.
So, okay, the other one is David leading the team this time out. It was a little chaotic. What do you think might work better moving forward?
Well, let's kind of flesh out our roles before we leave. Let's
Make it
review the
happen.
checklist before we leave, because we kind of came in, I'm sure Ryan came in with the checklist that's already ingrained in his head. Same thing with Alex, probably running off that same sort of checklist for what they've done over the past years together, as well as Matt in working with them. And Bill is working off of his checklist, which is that's actually what Alex and I used, was there was holding in our hands a physical checklist that we went through. Those can probably be married together. Maybe there's some strengths and weaknesses of either or, and flesh it out and come up with one that's the best of both worlds. But knowing what everyone would like to do before we leave would be great. I'm a very fast learner for anything mechanical that I need to do. So I can be Ryan's gopher, whatever role I need to fill. Right, I'm not just going to sit back and watch everyone. But at the end of the day, right, I still have to take everyone's advice and make sometimes executive decisions, I suppose. If
Mm-hmm.
that's a thing, right?
You need it.
For the best interest of the team
Mm-hmm.
and
So,
the success of the car.
so how would you feel moving into the next, say, 3 or 4 races if Bill takes organizational lead and then you kind of be a Padawan? So you
That's
kind of.
that, yeah, that's fine with me. And you know, quite honestly, you know, I coming into this race, I did not have any time at all to commit to doing, you know, half the things that I should have and needed to, you know, such as like arranging practice and that sort of stuff. Right
Mm-hmm.
now, I'm house shopping, so I'm,
Mm-hmm.
you know, kind of sort of busy, or you know, in my own personal life. I just happen to own a race car.
So
Okay.
with Vicky, and to build onto that, and with that, David, let me ask this. How comfortable are you with it if Ryan takes lead and I support Ryan over the fact that anything car related and everything that goes on the car, and all of us are going to have a role playing on it. We take over lead on that for the next race.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's fine. And, you know, there's certainly, you know, and some things that, you know, we've talked about already. We know what mechanically needs to happen for us to be, you know, confident enough to go out there and turn 100 laps, right? Before we'd even bring the car out onto a track. Um, you know, and I think, you know, we have a pretty good idea what it's going to take this time around to hopefully not find that fail point again or the next one. So, you know,
So,
I want to defer to the people who have done this many times before.
Okay. Well,
okay.
Bill has excellent organizational skills. So I think like maybe even for the next 3 4 races that you could
We'll find
probably
out.
grab a lot, yeah,
We'll
from
find
him.
out.
Take what you need from it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you know, we just got to get our flow together. So
Mm-hmm.
so what's the plan? What are we doing next? Is anybody going to see us out
AER.
on the track again?
Never. That's it. Car's up for sale.
Okay.
Wait,
All right.
I thought I was going to AER.
Right. Yeah. Now our next stop is to the city of Pittsburgh in Western Pennsylvania at Pit Race for an AER race,
Hey,
where our tiny little team is going to try to punch above our weight.
Do we still have delusions of grandeur and doing back-to-back weekends?
You know that probably probably not, right? I mean, I've raced a few Lemons races. This car is I wouldn't say it's a match for a Lemons race. Even at Pittsburgh, which is a nice wide open track, that still doesn't mean that someone who may or may not have the most delicate control of the wheel of a, can I say shitbox? Um,
Say
you
anything
know,
you want. I'd
yeah,
beep
we can,
you.
we know
I've
we can
beeped
stay
better people than
clean.
you, sir.
Yeah, we know we can keep this car clean. What we don't know is if everyone else can. So that car may not be out at Pit Race in a Lemons race, but
Yeah, you can't put this car near a Cordoba on a track. Alex will just be,
exactly.
a magnet.
Yeah.
Especially if it's painted pink, because then I'm going to keep hitting it. Race
Um,
car.
Makes sense somewhere in his world. But anyway, okay.
yeah. So, you know, that's not to say that we don't want to go out there and, you know, race a Lemons race. It just probably won't be in this car.
All right. So we've got delusions of grandeur, but we're toning them down just a little bit, so that's okay.
Mhm.
Let's end this one with the traditional good, bad, the ugly, and what did we learn from this race? So good is either something we did well or something we saw done well that we should adopt. Bad is something that we did poorly or saw something poorly that we want to avoid. Ugly is story time. And what did we learn from the race? So with that, I think Matt got to talk the least, so he gets to go first.
A good, I would say, would be the general camaraderie and willingness to help in the paddock this weekend. Both other teams willing to help us and the ability for us to help them if needed. And we were able to. I know when we were able to get a welder to our paddock, at least one other car came by. And while Ryan was taking a break on our car, he was able to help them out. and get something welded up.
I think Ryan was happy it
So-
wasn't in a vertical direction. He actually got the weld
Yeah.
downwards. So
Well, I actually learned how to weld underwater in that stint because they were trying to cool the nylon bushing. So that was interesting.
it's a growth period for you.
Yeah.
Okay. What about bad, Matt? What do you think? Bad. I mean, there's just so much to choose from.
I forgot what your description of bad was. It was just
Something we did that we should do differently, or something we saw that should be done differently.
something that should be done differently. Obviously stay out on the track more.
That would be good.
Yeah.
Ugly story time.
Would say stories are fantastic, but the editing and the amount of content inappropriate for a public setting is not applicable for this venue. So I'm just going to laugh internally and enjoy the memories, and we'll bring them up amongst ourselves next race.
Very, very well. Self-edited. I don't have to bleat for a 45-second story, so I'm okay with that. No, you're not going next. No, you just shut up. Nope. Let's go with Ryan. Ryan, we have some hope for your content. There's somebody coming that I'm really.
So I would say good. I learned there's such thing as a car that I could potentially drive for 2 hours and not feel like I just ran a marathon getting out of. My experience thus far is only 3 other cars, and all of them require just serious physical input to drive the car for 2 hours. This car was unlike all of those, and it had power.
That's why it's called the easy button.
Yeah, right. So the bad would be sending me out on track with almost no fuel for practice and 3/4 of a tank for a full stint on race day on Saturday. Although I didn't really need it on Saturday, so you probably could have sent me out with a hat with 1/8 of a tank, and I would have run even faster laps.
You had plenty for what you did. It was fine.
Exactly. I had all the fuel I needed. The ugly, I will say 2 words: Roman helmet, and just leave it at that.
Okay. And what did we learn from this race?
That we all definitely have to. I don't think we're at that point like on the Miata team where we can kind of just know what each other can do, and we need to communicate a little bit more and say, okay, I'm done, it's your turn, or hey, I need you to do X, Y, and Z. On the Miata, it's just kind of understood, because at the when we were down to 4 or 5 guys, we all kind of knew each other long enough, and we didn't have to talk, and it was just understood.
As expected.
All right, David, you're the owner. You're going to get the back cleanup. This is 3 or 4 foul balls coming right now. Levinson, what do you got? No, you're not last.
Yeah,
you're not last. You get to go now. Go ahead.
Oh, the good. The synergy of what I saw in potential of all of us together. It was rough. It was mismatched. It was out of sync. However, I think walking out this weekend and just looking back and small little details and small little intricate things that occurred between each and every one of us, I think putting us all together was actually somewhat good, and I think it's going to get better. The bad of this weekend. There's you guys know me well enough. There's a sense of guilt that something could have, should have, would have, something may have prevented the catastrophic failure, and I beat myself up, and I consistently do it all the time, and I use humor and my puns to go ahead and take away my insecurities on it. The ugly was your snoring. No, I'm joking. The ugly was, I feel, had it not been for this, what we actually could have potentially as a team, what we would have been able to accomplish, and how this actually held us back from it. So I'm very, very, very intrigued on how the next race is going to be. And as we grow as a team, I'm very interested to see how high, how great, how wonderful we can become together.
Alrighty. David, do you have you want to get a run at this?
Oh, sure. So I'm going to go a little bit backwards because I have a lot more of the good, and there are definitely a lot of people that I do want to recognize outside of our team, right? So we'll start with learning portion of this. We really, again, this was what do we call it? A shotgun marriage of a lot of different personalities learning each other at a racetrack. How this thing goes. I've been at the same track as Alex and Ryan. I've never driven on the same team as them. And same with you, Bill. So we've been at the same races together, probably at least 2 times. But again, this was all a shotgun marriage for all of us. So it'll be a learning process as we continue to grow and mature together as immature but functional teammates. We will do better in Pittsburgh, right? So on to the ugly. Sleep deprivation is a thing. Alex, you've got to get yourself a friend, not a blow-up doll, to sit in that truck.
Ouch! Oh!
Wow!
You can't use a blow-up doll in the HOV lane, right? You have to have another human in there so that you can sleep, right? Sleep deprivation is a terrible thing.
The blow-up doll fell asleep on him this time.
Exactly. She fell asleep.
All right, autopilot.
Right. So
Right.
You're going to find yourself a traveling buddy, bribe someone. I don't know.
The car will be departing my house this time, so that will be an easier fix.
Okay. Right. Yeah. So, and we all learn this, right? The less sleep we have, the more dysfunctional we become and the more mistakes happen. But that was the case for all of us, and just a part of bringing home parts, late at night, putting them on, and then Bill scrambling all around the place looking for the parts, not realizing they're already on the car.
Who would have looked there? I mean,
Right? Who the hell would think that they're already on the car? The bad part, there wasn't a whole. Bad was, we knew this was a shakedown, right? We shook it down, it broke right away. So that was kind of the bad part, really everyone coming back together and coalescing and just making it happen. So we all know, in our small team, what we all did, and everybody did something. So we are, Jesus, no pun intended. We sort of were the garage heroes in training. It's like to fulfill that thing. Wow. We actually were garage heroes in training. So getting on to the good part, right? And there are some people that I definitely want to recognize. Without them, none of that garage hero stuff would have ever happened. William Trapp, one of them, Phil Picard, for loaning us his welder, Kyle Lockrow for going to get parts, right? And didn't need to do it, but none of them needed to do what they did. But again, it's the camaraderie of a lot of the people that really want to see everyone succeed at these events. Right? Yes, it's a competitive race when you go out there on the track, but off the track, everyone is really trying to help each other. Other parts of the good, right? So in doing this, putting this race together, falling apart, putting our race back together again, falling apart, and then basically saying, come hell or high water, that car's going out on the track Sunday. And it did. Right? Kathy recognized us for our team effort of putting it back together. So that got us actually the eBay Motors Award for, basically, you guys are nuts. How did you fix that? How'd you get that thing back on the track? But there we are. Mr. Fisher and I, Bill and I, basically told Kathy that, that wonderful $500 that came with that eBay Motors, you guys are nuts, but you fixed it award. We both agreed that we'll take that $500 and cash that wonderful check, and in turn send you a check for the 2 charities that were involved in the event. to match it and basically return that $500. But the other charity would also get another $500. So, we wanted to do that for those that were involved. And I think they exceeded the amount that they really wanted to raise for the weekend. And the race bar team owes a big share of their trophy to Mr. Ryan Suska for fixing their car.
This is true.
I think that's the end of the good, right?
I've got some good. I can do a couple more.
Well,
Okay.
yeah, I think that's the end of my notes here for good, bad, ugly, learned. That's
Can
it.
we all take a moment of silence in the fact that
I know you can't.
no, we know I can't. But hold on one second. That you brought it up, David. The fact of the matter that is, without Ryan and what happened, this never would have been feasible. But can we take a moment pause for Jeff, Andy, and crew for the fact that they won their class?
It did. That was one of my goods.
How does Race Bar win their class? So a moment of pause, moment of silence, and can we all just say Race Bar?
Be saying Race Bar next week when we have them on.
They were out there in front with a fixed shifter that got fixed on Saturday.
And
well,
very
there
little
was a
brake pads.
welder right beside us.
So even funnier. So Saturday night, while I'm waiting for Kyle to come back with parts and I'm talking with people, a conversation goes between Jeff and crew about changing their brakes. You know what they did not do? They didn't change their brake pads.
They did after they won.
Yeah, they had to.
Yes.
But the whole last hour of the race, and I got film of it and everything, and I was following around with them because we were done for the day, which we should not have been. We should have had the car out for a checkered flag, but following around with them and watching the glow they would put out, not understanding what was actually feasible for them to accomplish. And it was amazing because it's Race Bar, and we know we love Race Bar. Race Bar, congratulations. And the fact of the matter is you had no brakes for an hour and a half. How do you win a race? Just saying.
The answer is very well. So my good Race Bar winning was there. Seeing Laura win with the Flying Moose with Randy, especially knowing how much Laura looked up to Randy as little as less than 2 years ago. She first met him at Charlotte Roval. And now she's racing with him and, just taking home the hardware like the badass that she is. And I will say, if you're going to go glass half full, we took care of eliminating any stress from having to compete and try to win the race very early. So there was a no stress weekend. We took that right off the board. I think it was less than 2 laps. We took care of that. So that was good. And as always, good is Kathy and all her Lucky Dogs, including her team, including everybody who works with Lucky Dog and everybody who attended the race. Everybody there was just fantastic. As always, Kathy and the Lucky Dogs. Okay, bad. I was too tired going into this from proposal season. It just happened to be bad timing, so that didn't make anything better. Ugly. We didn't pack everything as well as we could have. We left a few things at home. And we probably needed a better spares assortment for the race. Not that I don't think we would have had everything to fix what happened, but we would have had more things covered, I think is probably better for the next race. And as far as what did we learn, I think better clarification of everybody's skills and everybody's roles, because not only weren't we terribly clear with who was doing what, we often had 2 people doing the same thing. And that was one less thing that could have been done somewhere else. So we gotta work on that. But again, since everybody was new to each other, I think we did really well, and we look to do it again.
Whiteboards.
Had whiteboards.
Good. Use the whiteboards.
Thank you. We did, and we will. Mm-hmm. All right. So we had a great weekend. Everybody coming back for another one? Anybody silly enough to do this again?
In 3 weeks.
Unfortunately.
3 weeks.
3 weeks.
Time.
Now, where's 3 weeks again?
Pit
Where at?
race.
Pittsburgh AER pit race. is the name of the track. We will be there March 31st.
That's
Don't
right.
be a blockhead.
That's
That's
4
right.
weeks away.
All right. So here's my hope. Okay. Here's the plan. We are going to do better. We are going to do many more laps. We're going to have our collective acts together.
So that's the end of the podcast then.
Still in training. So here's our short-term goal. We want to finish.
Absolutely perfect, Vicky.
We want to
Absolutely
finish. We want to finish Saturday, and we want to finish Sunday. But let's try and get it so that we are so on top of our game that we can record a mid-weekend podcast Saturday night without harming any of our prep for Sunday. That is our stretch goal.
So hold on.
Well, no, I think you missed it. There's race car and race car action, podcast, and meatball and Cubano action to make Alex happy.
I don't know if Vicky will be there for that race. She's going to be there for the Lemons weekend, so we might have to do the post festivities and figure out how to get the Lemons race. But we'll figure something.
I would love to attend one of the skunk oil races, skunk oil car races. How about that? And provide paddock backup for you guys.
Can we discuss the team name for a second?
Can do anything.
I really think we need to have a vote here because I think Garage Heroes
Go with all three of them.
Asking Motorsports, well, stupidly using skunk oil is a phenomenal name. I'm just saying.
That's a hell of a
It's a bit long
sticker,
to fit on the.
It's a bit, yeah it's kind of
fit
long.
on the.
And this is why I make bad decisions and big mistakes, and this is why everyone follows. So, just saying.
Yep.
And Zoe.
That's right. Zoe Lemons Fisher.
Half-ass Skunk's Garage.
There we go. We'll
It's
get there.
Half-ass garage heroes with stupidly skunked motors.
Well,
If anybody ever makes it to, actually, Alex, did you find the skunk oil stickers yet?
Alex was
They
the
may
last
be
one
in the
that had
hangar.
hands on them. Alex was the last one that had hands on them, so I haven't seen them since.
They are
in the hangar.
Two pieces of cardboard. I did not see them in the hangar that I went into today. I swear to God that they were in the tow vehicle or in the car when we went down to Carolina. However, we're gonna make tonight now at this point because now I'm gonna have to go over to the hangar and look at it. And it's getting late and I need to get home tonight.
nope. We're going full hangar day tomorrow, so don't worry about it. We got it covered.
Yeah,
Okay.
don't worry about that.
So it's going to be, so you're going to be looking for like a packing cardboard that's folded over like it is, but there's going to be tape holding it shut, and you're going to see stickers fall out of it if it's in the hangar. But I swear to God, it was in the trunk of the car when we loaded it onto the trailer, which is blowing my mind. We have it. It's somewhere.
Did you guys pull everything in between the fold-up seat in the truck?
Can I ask one question? Did
Yeah.
we end the podcast yet?
No.
No.
Okay, very well. We'll talk about this offline.
Okay.
All right. So until we see everybody at AER in 3 weeks, the end of March, anybody who's in the area, please stop by. We have stickers. We bribe accordingly.
4 weeks.
I want to thank everybody who came to the race. We had a great time. It was awesome. And Alex even semi-behaved on a podcast. So mark this date down. Play your lottery cards. You'll win.
Hey, I was at the choker chain and on a leash, and I raised my hand and I played nice.
Mm-hmm.
It's only because I love everybody here.
Thanks, everybody. Okay.
Bye.
Thanks for having us.
Peace.
We're
Okay,
still racing
all right.
on Sunday. Stay with me.
Okay. I'm sorry. I'm
If
so. I'm
only-
just.
If
You know-
only
It's
you
not
had a
Easter.
document sitting right in front of your face. That
I
has
do, but I
the
don't
order
know
that
if I
we're
have the. I don't think I have
Jesus,
the
you
right.
have a script?
Yes.
You know what? I'm looking
The
at
hell you
spider.
give us the script?
Listen, Bill. Honestly, I'm looking at spider stang.
Post-race
document.
episodes.
I know, and I'm looking at spider stang on it. So I don't
Yeah,
know
we're
if I
above
have the
that.
right
We're
one.
up here.
Bill, you got to give us the script ahead of time next
Oh,
time.
no,
We
no,
know what
no.
the hell we're talking about.
No, you can't.
Because then
No,
Alex
'cause-
will like think, and then the world will come to an end.
All right.
Be careful,
Some
don't
of
use
us
that
the
word
script.
knowledge at the same time.